Hi everyone, welcome to my Shoreline Studio. I'm Sybille Muschik. Behind the camera, as always, is Joshua Blanc. Now, we are sort of still on a high from doing this jaunt out by Baker Creek, which is a local creek. And the forest is filled with mushrooms, none of which I think are edible, but they are just gorgeous, and we had so much fun photographing them. My knees are still sore from all the times we had to be practically lying flat so we could get the stipes, you know, the stems of the mushrooms. And so many varieties, and just a beautiful place, and not a bad day. We just lucked out for the weather. Now I want to place your attention here. This is a different kind of mushroom, not quite exactly in the same place that we were yesterday, but these are the shaggy parasols, and with lovely markings, and I'm going to be working only with these two, and I have done a drawing of them just on tracing paper, and then I was able to trace it directly onto a piece of very thin mylar, and then and make a stencil. Let's just put that on white paper so you can see it. I've already worked with it a little bit, so you can see that there's been inking happening there. So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing more stenciling today using a variety of little pouncing tools. So let's get started with the background. And we'll use a variety of colors. I'm using my Speedball printing inks because they, although they're water-based, and you do have to fix them with an acrylic varnish at the end if you want to show them, or you'll have to do it under glass and matte. And we're just going to roll a variety of colors on here, something like the forest floor. Maybe a little, it's fall after all, and so a little bit of burnt sienna will not run amiss. And we're just going to roll that out. Now, rolling these inks is a little bit different. You can do a plate run as well. I just take my time and get to the point where they have that snick, and you'll hear it. And just running a few colors. And if the area gives you trouble here, just run your brayer into a circle. Now we'll do a series of marks just with some, like the forest floor, you know, we're just going to do some crazy stuff. I have these nice little tools. You can use other non-scratchy tools as well. Just indicate a few, just to make the background interesting, right? And a few lines. Whatever. Just have fun with it. Maybe these could be like little ferns or something like that. There are lots of ferns in that area. Just let your imagination run wild. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place a circle where we are going to put the mushrooms. And place it nicely in the center, and then print. Couldn't be easier. It's the other stuff that's hard when you're trying to make everything else work. But these beginnings are important, so have a nice background, set off your work well. and that's a good start. Now this will remove a lot of that underlying paint, and I would probably wipe it a wee bit more, just because it's water-based. You can take a little bit of water and we'll just wipe that area fairly clean. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you want your mushrooms to show up. And besides, we're going to be stenciling, pouncing. So now place your little mushroom stencil on there in the circle. Okay, we've fiddled our little stencil onto here, and it's all good to go. And now we have to decide what we're going to use for color here. And in this case, we do have to have our little plate. We'll use smaller brayers, and I'm going to put that brown in here, and just with this little pouncing tool. Okay, so we're going to mix, it's a sort of a grayed brown, so we're going to have to mix a couple of colors here, just enough. So how do you get gray? You do the complement. And the complement, this is more of a yellow, right? So the complement of that would be violet. So probably violet blue. And just get a hair of this and a smidge of that. And we get it to the point where we can pounce with it. Not like a leopard pouncing on something, but maybe not far off. Okay. You can pounce it off and see if the color is right. Okay. All right, so we're going to start on here. A little bit more violet. Just getting some color on here. And over here on this side as well. And I think a little bit more violet, not because it's particularly there, but because I just happen to like the color. And also the violet is more of a shadow color, so those the parts of the stem would be more of a in the shadows. Okay, and then we have probably a white that we want in here for the little pieces that stand up. And we'll just wipe that off. They're not perfectly white, so that's fine. And if your pouncing tool is kind of large like mine, you might want to go to something smaller like a makeup sponge. These are just those little spots on the mushrooms. Okay. We'll see how that works. And then background. I think we'll leave the background maybe a brighter green. Just to show off the mushrooms. Just white and green. There were lots of ferns in the area, so I think that will work. You can vary the color a little bit if you like, maybe darker, a little bit of the violet in there. Down in here. It doesn't really matter if you go over where the mylar is, because you're going to be removing that anyway. And I have some little cuts here where the veils are. Make sure we get in between the mushrooms. I like that purple down here, so we'll put more of that on. More white at the top, like it's sunlit. And the pouncing tool gives it a bit of texture and interest, so it's all good. Okay. Well, we will see. Now we'll print after we remove this thing. It's fairly sturdy because it's mylar, so even though it looks delicate, it's not. Now we're just going to do a little bit of line work with I think I need a bit of water here, because we need to know where the bases of the mushroom are. Yeah, I'm just going to do some texture stuff, little lines and whatever. These are the veils that are around the base of the mushroom. And just going to put some detail here. And I'm going to add some of that white to where the veil is. Don't make this too thick. It doesn't print well if it's, it'll be blobby. So, ever so careful. If you haven't got quite enough of those little white spots, well, you can always add a few more. I'm just going to maybe outline the mushroom a bit more. I'm using a rigger brush. These are really great for small details. Be sure and add that shadow in under the cap. I think we can print. Hopefully the print turns out. And there we have it, our little mushrooms. Okay, well, we have one area here that we need to work with. We're just going to stipple that with our little, there's always something, you know, it's not ever totally complete. And we had all this stuff, so we're just going to add that in there. It's your print and you do what needs to be done. Now, I quite like this white outline, but if you don't like it, you can take it out. And then what you do is you just place it back on the plate. So what you added has that print making look. Give it a little shadow. And in here. Because it's water-based, and this is good paper, it's drawing paper, partly watercolor paper. And our stipes look really quite neat. Okay, place it back on the plate. Give it that printmaking look. And of course you can work on it some more to this. I like this little area here because it gives it a little more contour. It's not quite so flat. And I might, you know, you can draw some leafy things or something like that in there. The background works pretty good. So there you have it. There's our mushrooms in the forest floor. What would you call that, Josh, where you're centering on something, right? Like a highlight or something?
A vignette or...
yeah, something like that. Yeah. So you're doing a little vignette of the mushrooms on the forest floor. Okay, well, thanks again for joining us here at Shoreline Studio. Take care of yourselves and your families as always. We'll have more fun in the future with other episodes, always experimental here, and things don't always work out, but we know how to fix them, don't we? Okay, take care and bye for now.